This is the CHRILLCAST. I'm Chris.
And I'm Will.
And I'm Hay with AllThatFilm.
And for some reason I just realized we didn't do the Manic Monday or Tuber Tuesday or Wild Card Wednesday. So I'm going to do this.
Wednesday.
I know, right? Like, we screwed this up massively. We do this all the time, though. Throwback Thursday. Okay. All right, now we can call it. Hey, Pat the NES Punk, come on our podcast, dude. I don't know what you're doing, but I've commented on a lot of your videos. Come on our podcast. All right. Today we're going to be doing a video on a game that should have come stateside but didn't. And before we get into that, why don't we find out about AllThatFilm?
Yeah, so I'm a YouTuber that hosts a bunch of different opinions on film. We have a bunch of different hosts that sort of come on our podcast. Whatever you're looking for, we probably have. Whether it be movie reviews, I'm trying to get a little bit more into reaction stuff. I don't love trailers, so that's weird for me. Most of those are like making fun of trailers, if that makes sense. We have a podcast that we post every Monday. There's going to be a topic that you like, probably. If you don't like film or TV or anything, there's some people that I have met that I've been like, because I'm a big movie guy, that I'm like, what's your favorite movie? You watch any movies? And they're like, nope, don't do that. And I'm like, all right, never mind.
If you want to get a ranking video of Star Wars, go to his channel and check out his ranks. And then I've been trying to do a little bit more live streams of those types of stuff. I'm going to show you another channel that ranked the Star Wars films.
Ooh. Yeah. Very nice.
So go watch his and watch ours, and then you guys can fight amongst the communities.
Or watch them at the same time, just
that would be...
go crazy.
Yep. He's like, I'm here with all this is the CHRILLCAST. You can't listen at the same.
That's pretty much what Star Wars Twitter is at this point.
You're not wrong. It's just like a bunch of people yelling at each other. No, the sequel films are better. No, the OG trilogy. And then there's people like me, but I kind of like the prequels.
I do like the prequels.
I've turned a little bit. I'm a little bit of a prequel apologist.
After seeing, go ahead.
Yeah. It's just, you're right. After seeing sort of what they do and how they handle Star Wars, it's like, look, the prequels are weird for sure. But at least it was still, even though it was the creator making a theme park decision. But yeah, we'll go to Michigan. Report from hell.
Yeah, it's like, release the Snyder Cut. No. Okay, enough with the random references. We're doing a video game that's very not well known, but a few YouTubers have covered it. I've seen some videos on this. I've wanted to cover it for a long time. It's called Michigan Report from Hell, and it hits me deeply because I'm from Michigan. So Michigan Report from Hell.
Also known as Hell.
Hey, there is Hell, Michigan. That place exists.
There is, yes.
And there's actually a 5K or 10K or some kind of run every year. It's called Run. It's called Run from Hell, I think. Let's look this
Running
up.
Like Hell, maybe.
No, it's Run. I think it's Run from Hell, Michigan. Run through Hell. Run through Hell. The race is through the town of Hell. That's what it is. I almost did it one year and they canceled it, or I canceled my run. I don't remember. I almost did it though. It was pretty cool. It's not this year, but this year would have made sense why it would have got canceled because of everything going on. So it wasn't this year. But this game is famous for having some of the strangest, basically the life bar is like your film. When you're playing this game, you're trying to get through it, and the life bar is film, which I've never seen anybody else do this from start to finish. The battery or I don't remember if it's the battery or the film, the amount of film you have, or the amount of battery you have. But one of those things ending is what ends the game. So I'm going to give you guys a little synopsis.
And we have to solve the mystery before it runs out.
Yes, that's what it is. So Michigan Report from Hell is a survival horror game developed by a company called Grasshopper Manufacturer, and published by Spike. It was released in Japan on August 5th, 2004, and in Europe on September 29th, 2005. So right there in the middle is about where they should have released it in the US, somewhere in between those two. So we're covering it in June of 2020, which would be about 15 years since it should have released in the States. This game was never released in North America. It was directed by Akira Ueda, however you pronounce that, and planned by Goichi Suda. I think that's how you say that. I could be wrong. Don't yell at me, but that's how I'm going to pronounce it. The game focuses on a news crew for the fictional Zaka TV, dedicated to covering strange phenomena. The game is unique in the sense that it is played almost entirely through the viewfinder of a camera, and the game is lost if the player runs out of film, you're right, Will, before solving the mysteries in a mission. Revealed in a March 15, 2008 interview with N-Gamer, Suda was unaware of the release in Europe.
That's pretty awesome.
Can you imagine, like 3 years after you release this game, hey, what do you think of the fact that this got released in Europe? It was released in Europe? What? It got localized somewhere else? So, I want to talk about that. How weird is it that 3 years after it was released, he finds out it was released in another region than the region it was intended for?
I think that just goes to show like how obscure this game must have been on the development team trying to release it. They literally had, oh, it's in Europe? Okay, cool, I guess. I just can't imagine that with any game. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. I think it's also weird that it's set in Michigan.
Yep.
The thing is, so, it's not super strange for games to be set in regions that, like, it's not released in, or like a random place that the developer's never been to. I mean, there's obviously ones in space, but there's also ones that, like, a Japanese game is set in America or vice versa. But it's so weird that it's set in Michigan. Why Michigan of all places? And the thing is, it reminds me of when I was in Italy and I was in Rome, and there's a Michigan hotel, and I remember thinking, like, why did they name the hotel after Michigan? Like, it's the same thing. It's like
mythical
why?
Michigan.
It's like Michigan isn't known for like ghost stories. So I don't understand.
Yeah.
There's an entire website dedicated to Michigan ghost stories. I will have you know.
Okay, well, like the 3 ghosts that live in Michigan.
No, it's like a lot of Michigan ghost stories. Apparently, Michigan has a massive paranormal following here.
Well, it makes sense to have it in Missouri, where The Exorcist is based off a story in St. Louis.
Does it say IKEA behind that guy? Can you see? Does it say IKEA? It looks like it.
Not entirely sure.
I can't.
Well, that makes sense if it's set in IKEA. I mean, you can't escape those stores, so a lot of people die in it probably.
Well, it's a trailer.
You run out of film very quickly.
Yeah, you're right.
Did y'all do a little bit of exploring on the manufacturer and developer companies separately? By any chance?
Actually, I did not. Did you?
Okay, I was gonna throw out Spike is interesting in particular. Because I did click on them because I thought they were associated with Spike TV. They're not.
Is it Spike Chunsoft?
I don't remember. The thing that stuck out to me is they were someone that stuck around with the Sega Saturn. So when they made this game, it wasn't like they were doing great. So for them to have this like not even release everywhere at the same time and only Japan is a little bit like perplexing to me. I don't think they were doing that well. They've since had, I think it's the No More Heroes games, I think is Spike.
Yeah, that's them, I think.
Yeah, and like those do decently well, but yeah, this was a studio like with this Michigan game, like they were probably on thin ice at the time.
I'm really curious now if it's a different version of, like, I thought it was Spike Chun. Yeah, okay, yeah. So they merged with Chunsoft to become Spike Chunsoft. So Spike Chunsoft is a pretty big, pretty popular company now, but it's kind of strange that I actually didn't initially associate Spike with Spike Chunsoft, but that makes sense. So Spike Chunsoft released another set of games that I really enjoy. Let me see. I want to see if they have it on the list here. Yeah. So the Zero Escape series is produced by this company.
Well, yeah, I was going to say Grasshopper actually developed 9 Doors, 9 Hours, or whichever. I always forget.
999. Just 999. You're good.
999. That's one of my favorite games. I love that game.
Have you played the other two?
No, I haven't. I bought it on PlayStation.
It's totally worth it.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely ready to go back in. That's why I was so piqued with interest on this one, just because I thought it was going to be like one of those like, oh, hey, this is a great game that was interesting, and not necessarily like as much as 999. But yeah, it definitely takes like a risk to sort of be like, hey, you have a camera, and if you run out of film, like game's over.
It's a very interesting premise.
There's not a lot of games that make good use of the cameras in any way, shape, or form. The only other game that I've actually played myself that I enjoyed that made good use of a camera was like Dead Rising. Another horror game but it's set in like a more comedic tone type game, kind of like Shaun of the Dead.
Outlast is kind of like this a little bit, just because you have like batteries for a flashlight, I think.
Yeah.
Or maybe even batteries for a camera. But yeah, again, like it's not necessarily because you're not really solving a mystery in Outlast. It's more like, oh, it's gonna spook you a little bit, which it did a lot for me because horror games scare me so much.
Maybe I'll stream this game.
Go for it.
I'll
I'd
figure
be
out how
down
to
to
play
watch
it.
that.
Also, it appears that this game is set in Chicago.
No, some
which
parts.
Is not Michigan.
Some
Anyone
parts.
Who needs to know.
So like I think this is like the storyline before Michigan. But so here's the thing about this game. So the idea is like wherever you point the camera causes things to happen, right? So if you're pointing the camera at like a door, then the person on screen might go open that door, and then inevitably that might kill them, right? So like you're getting like, why'd you point your camera there, and those kinds of reactions, like why would you look at that, like, oh, you made this guy die, like what? No, I just moved my camera, like what? So I guess that's like one of the mechanics that people found very strange. It was like, oh, if you move your camera here or there, it causes problems. So how weird is it that they picked Michigan, like of all places to have this story happen? Like you could pick any big city, and you picked not even like Detroit, you just picked Michigan. Like I could understand Detroit Escape from Hell.
I brought this up before. It's like it's such a weird state because how many people outside of the country? It wasn't even released in the United States. How many people outside of the country has even heard of Michigan?
Did you see that though? Like he put his video on him, and boom, now this person's dead. Like,
well, that was terrifying.
Right?
What is that?
I don't know.
I mean, I've seen that in Michigan before, but
oh no, I've never driven through now. But yeah, I do wonder if they debated. They're like, oh well, maybe like Rhode Island's the spookiest, or Missouri, and then they were like, no, Michigan just has that brand recognition that we really need.
I mean, their state animal's the Wolverine, and Wolverine's got the dude with the claws, right?
Yeah. Wolverine's hot right now for X-Men. People will love Michigan. What do you mean?
Or they've actually been to Michigan and like it's always cloudy.
Yeah.
It's so
the
spooky.
land of the gray skies.
Yeah.
I guess if this game released in the States, oh my gosh, that is terrifying.
That chick's about to die.
Oh my gosh, I didn't think it would actually happen. See, that's what I'm saying. You point the camera at stuff and stuff happens. That was terrifying. Okay. Stuff of nightmares. What is it? r/no sleep. This is perfect for r/no sleep. Back to the game. So I've watched some gameplay of this. And if you want to pull out your headphones, I'm going to discuss the endings real quick. Spoiler territory. Spoiler territory.
Just wave your hands when you're done with that, because I do want to try to play this.
Okay. So the ending, no matter what you do, is the guy getting shot. The cameraman gets shot, no matter what you do. And there's 3 different cameramen. So like depending on what you do in this game, the cameraman changes, which is bizarre to me. It's like, so you don't find out who the voice actor of the cameraman is until the end. And regardless of who you are, you get shot. The quote-unquote best ending turns out that you're actually the demon that's summoning all the crap in Michigan. So and I think even the demon gets shot. So it's like, what the heck? Like, this is like Mass Effect again. No matter what you do, it all ends the same. So, hey,
nice.
Come back. We're done discussing the endings.
Yeah, very nice. I hope y'all had a fun time with those.
I did say like, hey, take out your headphones. So like nobody caught it. Yeah. There you go.
I do wonder, is it similar to 999 in like how like sort of satisfying or like whoa like endings that you could sort of talk about, if that makes sense?
No.
Okay, gotcha. Because
It's more of one of those.
unfortunately-
It's more one of those like, the ending is what it is inevitably, like, and you just have to get there somehow.
Yeah, gotcha.
But it's not that quite that nuanced. So
Yeah.
I can't really explain it without spoiling it. So I'm not going to.
You're good.
But it is like satisfying in that there are differences. It's just like oh, okay. Like, I don't know how to explain it. So the last thing I want to say is, are there other games like this that you would not have expected to be region locked, but they actually are, that you guys can think of? Or like a movie that's region locked that's like, why is this region locked?
There was actually a movie recently that I know took like 30 years to come out. I forget what the name of it. It's an Iranian film, but like it didn't come out because it's one of the most like grotesque and horrifying movies apparently.
Okay.
Yeah, but in terms of like region locked movies, I know. I mean, there's been some stuff like different parts in the Middle East haven't had like mainstream movies for a while, and one of the funniest things, I guess I'll just throw out because I have this knowledge now, is the first movie that came back. I think it was Saudi Arabia. I am not sure, but the first movie they got back in theaters. Keep in mind, like, you know, you've lived in this country for a while. Oh, hey, we get like one of the United States films. What is it? The Emoji Movie. That's right.
What a great return to theater.
Yeah. So I'm sure people were ecstatic for that. So
maybe we'll get Wreck-It Ralph next. Oh man. I will say this. The only time I can understand region locking a game is like when it's language based. So like, for example, there's a game, Catherine, that was released in Japan, full body, that the original version of the game was localized to the US for, you know, the PS3 and the Xbox 360. And when they did full body, they localized that to the PS4. But there's also a Vita version that never got localized to the US. And I'm like, why is this not on the Vita in the US? Well, it turns out they want that Switch money, so they localize it to the Switch instead of the Vita.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Yeah, it's still... You've mentioned this a lot on the podcast, Chris, but like the early Fire Emblem games specifically, like it still makes no sense to me. I feel like Nintendo just doesn't understand that's free money, that if they wouldn't even have to, you could release it just in Japanese and people would still buy it. Like,
I mean, there's no voice acting, and the fan translations, like Nintendo just ask the fan translators to give it to you. For like, they'll give it to you for it's already out there for everybody to download and do. I guarantee they wouldn't charge Nintendo that much money.
Yeah, it would
just
not.
Pay for it. Like, it's already well translated. Like, and then re-release it on Virtual Console. You don't have to do a lot of work here. It'll work for relatively low effort. So
yeah, like I do understand Earthbound to some extent because Earthbound's kind of like a weird game. So I can understand like the hesitation of like, oh well, we don't want to release that now, and even now, like y'all were mentioning, it's still sort of like a big niche, but it's still a niche. Whereas I feel Fire Emblem is sort of developing with Three Houses, like specifically into more than that. So like,
it's a mainstream game at this point.
Yeah,
it's a mainstream niche game. It's like it has wide appeal to an audience that is still kind of a niche audience. It's like one of those like big crowds. Like, for example, anime conventions have lots of people show up to them, but I wouldn't say a lot of people are into anime, like mainstream, right?
Yep.
I would say there's probably a big audience, but it's not a big, like, wide mainstream audience like the people that watch the news every day. Like, it's not that big yet, you know.
For sure.
But it is a big audience.
I definitely think it helps that they have like 50 characters in Smash Bros. For Fire Emblem.
Started with Roy and Marth, neither of which had a localized game at the time of release of Smash Bros.
I know some of my friends also think Cloud is a Fire Emblem character.
That's kind of sad. I'm not gonna lie. Like, he
has a sword. I guess it's Fire Emblem. Whatever. Yeah. That's what most people.
I would be more likely to mistake him for a Xenoblade character than a Fire Emblem character.
They have no clue what Xenoblade is. the ones I'm talking about.
Anyways, last thing on Michigan Report from Hell. At least release it in Michigan. I mean, come on.
Yeah, exactly.
It's already in English in Europe. It wouldn't be that hard to localize. I mean, there's got to be a reason they couldn't or that they didn't. I just don't know what it is or was.
Maybe Michigan came after them at the time.
It's like Granholm's like, no, you can't release this here.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I think Granholm was governor when this came out. She's just like, no, veto. You can't have this here. The Senate's like, why? That'd be so bizarre. Like, Michigan lawmakers will not allow Michigan Report from Hell to release here.
Exactly. It's bad publicity for the state.
It's like the ESRB creation all over again.
Yeah.
We will not have
slap
this.
on the cover of the game. That's pure Michigan. For those of you who don't know, that's like the motto of the state right now.
Gotcha.
If you roll into Michigan, the sign says "Pure Michigan," and there's so many Pure Michigan memes, which I'm sure any state slogan nowadays would have a meme about it. But the Pure Michigan memes are pure meme.
Top tier.
Yeah, they're just good.
Look up the Walmart Wolverine Pure Michigan spoof. It's the best.
Or there's also like there'll be a road with a bunch of potholes. It'll say "Pure Michigan."
Yeah, that's true. Well, they say that the state tree is the orange cone.
Nice, yeah. Lovely.
Anyways, as always, I'm Chris.
And I'm Will.
And I'm Hay with All That Film.
And we will see you
on the next CHRILLCAST. Bye, guys.